Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Power of Connection chat. This is my live stream that I've been doing. I'm doing it for several years, but I kind of let it go for a bit, and now we're back because we did a live stream with Andy and John and Richard Vanderblom about a month and a half ago, and there was a lot of great traction. People liked it, so we started doing. And then Andy and I did. Andy, John, I did again, and we're like, okay, you know what? Let's do this more often. Let's have some fun and talk about this stuff, and and now we're bringing in guests and some amazing people here. So I'm very, very excited about this. Now, the best way for you to engage with us is we want you to comment below. So start by first saying hello, let us know where you're calling in from, and then after that, if you have questions around the topic, we're making predictions for next year. We're talking about the predictions this year that mostly didn't pan out, maybe some that did. That'll be interesting to see. And of course, you have questions about the algorithm, about LinkedIn, about newsletters, live streams, you name it. We have some amazing people here. They're going to tell you who they are, and you can ask your question below, and they're all here for the next hour. So let's make the most of this. And first off, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. Let's just start with introductions. We'll start with my one of my mighty co-hosts, Andy Foote.
Thanks so much, Bobby, for organizing this. Hello, everyone on the screen. Delighted to be sharing it with you. Andy Foote, LinkedInsites.com, reassuringly expensive brand, LinkedIn brand enhancer.
Awesome. And the incomparable John Espirian. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Espirian, UK-based B2B content writer, author of Content DNA, and relentlessly helpful LinkedIn nerd. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And of course, we have two guests today, so I'm really excited about that. We're going for one, and I was like, oh, let's get two. That's even better.
It's a twofer.
It's a twofer, so I'm so happy. So Cher Jones, welcome. Good to see you. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I am Cher Jones and the occasional host of Just Ask Cher Live. It's coming back, so don't worry, on a regular. But in the meantime, I get to be live here with you guys, and I help leaders, especially within corporate, develop a personal brand that people want to either work for, work with, or champion. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome, thank you. And finally, Brenda Meller, who's also been really great with the Thought Leadership Brand Club and Clubhouse, hosting a weekly room on company pages. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, Brenda Meller. So I'm a fan of Andy Foote. There's his book right there, shameless plug, as well as John Espirian, shameless plug. And Andy, I loved your headline. It used to be like, why am I frowning because your headline's making me cringe? Or I don't know what it was. It was something.
The reason I'm looking so miserable is I've seen too many awful LinkedIn summaries today.
That's what it is. And the headline hooked me in for Andy, and John's headline hooked me in too. I am also a fellow LinkedIn trainer, coach, and big fan of Bobby and Cher as well. And I'm delighted to be here today.
Awesome. So let's get right into it. I see people already signing in. Rebecca from Scotland, and Christopher from Detroit, and Andrea from Paris. Holy cow. Sweeta's here. Marianne from Toronto's here. Awesome to see. We have Quineth from Nigeria. Wow. Okay. We have a great broad.
We are just spanning the globe.
What was that?
Right?
That was amazing. All right. So a little bit of a update. I mean, I want to make just a quick announcement too for myself. So my name is Bobby Omar. I've been a professional speaker for 15 years, but in the last 2 years during the pandemic, I've switched to more virtual training and coaching. I focus on actually thought leadership branding. So basically helping people with storytelling, building meaningful relationships, content creation, and mindset to help them actually build a thought leadership brand across LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, and other platforms so they can grow their brands and businesses. So let's get into it. So this is all about predictions for 2021 that went well or didn't go well. And we're all going to share. We probably had, apparently Andy has made multiple predictions, but I'm going to start with one and I'll get each to share. So for me, the one prediction I went into was I was going into stories. So at the beginning of this year, LinkedIn stories actually featured my stories that I talked about diversity and inclusion. I talked about amplifying women. I talked about career growth, my career stories. And because they were doing that, I was working with the agency. I was like, okay, you know what? Stories are, you got to invest, man. They're going to grow. It's going to be great. And I love stories from Instagram and Facebook, and even Twitter had them too. And then they got rid of them as well. So for me, my big prediction was, invest in stories, put the time and energy into it, and then gone. And I mean, they sucked anyways to begin with, but I was glad to have them, and I definitely still miss them. So that was my prediction that went completely sour. Let's hear from Andy. How about you? Why don't you share one prediction?
Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, so I started doing a predictions post 3 years ago. But for last year, so for 21, I predicted that we would see, amongst other things, hashtags 2.0. And what I meant by that was hashtags are phenomenal in many ways, for finding content, for indexing it, pushing, your tribe towards stuff that you do. And also to, there's inherent popularity index where you can have a custom hashtag too and have, people following that. Mystery people, of course, because we don't know who they are. We just see a follow account. And I thought, they've got to do more with this. They've got, from a marketing aspect, if you could apply some kind of Google Analytics to hashtags, so you could see not just who is following, but who's clicking, when they're clicking, how often they're clicking, right? From what locality, what region, etc. Now, LinkedIn undoubtedly has this data. For whatever reason, they're not giving it to users. All right, so maybe they're using it themselves, but users are marketers. Marketers would pay. So that's why that was my number one prediction for 2021. Hasn't come to pass. So I'm sad about that, but I'm still hopeful that we'll eventually see what I'm calling hashtags 2.0.
Any thoughts on that? Feel free to comment too, anybody.
It would be fantastic if we could see that. I think it's a great suggestion. It would be really powerful. And all of us building our personal brands, telling people, follow this hashtag to see more of my stuff. If you built it enough, you could also, somewhere down the line, you could monetize that extra data, that extra intelligence that you're getting from those people. So I think it would be fantastic for creators.
It's interesting because when I heard Andy's prediction last year, and he talked about it last year, my prediction actually, was spawned because of that. Because I was thinking one of the things that I think that LinkedIn should do is just like they have oh my gosh, why can't I think of it right now? The sales like navigator, and then they have the HR, like the job platforms and whatnot. I was thinking, why aren't they doing something where they have something for creators, but not the way it manifested, but something that I know I would pay for to get access to stuff like stats and stuff like that, where it's like, we can now, because what I really want and what we're not seeing yet is, for those of you like LinkedIn OGs, there was a time probably in like from 2013 to at least 2016 where you could make lists and you could tag people, and that was accessible to everybody. And that was something that I used to teach. I'm like, put them in lists so that you can see what their content is and stuff like that. And as a creator, I was like, I would pay for stuff like that because I don't need Sales Navigator. I don't need to, like, what it offers me as the type of business owner / creator that I am. I don't need that platform.
Absolutely.
So that's why I was thinking, that would be awesome if they could have done something like that. And so while there's a half truth to my prediction in the sense that they did do so, they created a creator's platform, so to speak, but not in the way that I envisioned it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let me go back to my comment on stories. I mean, I made the prediction. I said invest heavily in it, and then it fell apart. Any thoughts on that? Because I was surprised it took it away completely. I thought that really.
Me too.
Yeah,
I feel like it was kind of interesting how it just kind of crashed. It was like they put so much effort, because I was contacted by that same agency, Bobby, and I was supposed to be in LinkedIn stories. I don't know if it ever happened, and it was kind of. I feel like there was so much potential, but then a lot of us kind of felt like, why is LinkedIn trying to do something that it's a ripoff from an Instagram? And also the big feedback in the beginning, it seemed to be, we want the stories to sit on our profile. We want to be able to see them later. It felt like it went against what LinkedIn is and what we use LinkedIn for. I'm hoping people from LinkedIn are watching this. So maybe in addition to the predictions, we can kind of slide in what we want, right?
Yeah. And yet, I should say, in 3 times in the last 2 weeks, people have contacted me and said, hey, stories are back. I've got them in my mobile app now. Look, here's a screenshot. And then they refresh and they're gone. I was like, okay, what's going on? So they're obviously testing something. And the preferences for stories in settings and privacy are still there. They have not wiped those. So something is definitely coming back, I think, and they're testing it at the moment.
So technically stories haven't gone, have they? Because we've got cover stories. And if you wanted to, you could put a different cover story there every day if you wanted. So it was kind of interesting the way the announcement was made. It was almost buttering us up, wasn't it? It was, yeah, we're taking them away, but wait, there's more, and you know, get excited about whatever more is coming in terms of video and that kind of thing. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it did seem like LinkedIn was throwing something at the wall, being a bit of a copycat, and then hoping to see or waiting to see if it'll stick.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Reimagining stories too. They didn't say we're retiring them, and or what was the word? Wasn't it something that kind of left the door cracked open a little bit?
Reimagining, they said.
Reimagining. There you go.
And here's the thing is like, if you're going to go copy somebody's stuff, be better. Don't be worse. Like, don't just, at this point, you have everything you need to know as far as what works, what people are using. You have all the data between Meta, like as far as what they've shown and how people use it. And then you're going to come with like a MS Paint version of this. Like it wasn't okay. And I think that's the problem, because I mean, most people found themselves creating better stories in Instagram and not necessarily even posting them in Instagram, but just because you can make them look better and then uploading it to LinkedIn. So I think that was, if you're going to copy somebody's stuff, and I really want to use another word, but I'm not, if you're going to copy someone's stuff, make sure you do it better.
Well,
Don't come out with a cheap copy.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is that the people who are going to use stories are the ones who use them actively on Instagram and Facebook. And so as someone who uses them on those platforms, it's disappointing as a story user to see the functionality being so weak. So
basic.
Totally. Let's keep going. Cher, since you're talking, why don't you share your prediction?
Well, I did. So my prediction was, it was a jump off of Andy's prediction, and it's just the sense that I thought. So I'll claim half right that there was going to be some sort of creator platform, but not the way I thought it would work out. I was willing to pay for it.
Cher Jones predicted creator mode.
Yeah.
Wow.
Done. And
We
all
won't that, Cher. We won't tell.
there we go. Yeah, not quite. But because I was ready to shell out the cash for it. I really was.
But your point is well taken, Cher, about some kind of sales navigator light for creators.
Yeah.
People would definitely pay for that. It's a no-brainer.
It's so stupid.
To have additional tools that are going to make you A, understand content flow and success, and B, put those lessons to work. We would definitely pay extra for that.
Take my money.
Yeah, it's money on the table. And particularly as LinkedIn is so invested in keeping the content creation mill going round and round as speedily as possible, producing, they need that content to attract people to the platform, to keep them on it and make it as sticky as possible.
And they're the only platform that has actually monetized a significant portion of their user base. And so just to me, it's like one part of LinkedIn doesn't talk to the other. And so they go in different directions. Like I remember when we were in a Clubhouse room and we were asking some of the developers from creator mode about the SSI score, and they had no idea what that was.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that.
Yeah.
So
and also,
okay.
Yeah. And do you guys remember, if you're on the Clubhouse room, Daniel Roth was asked about groups, and he demurred, and he said something about not groups specifically, but he said, we're going to make a big investment this year. And this was back in, I think, January, February. And A, it's a big investment for us. B, there's a large team. And we all immediately went to Clubhouse clone and thought, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna have LinkedIn audio, and it's gonna revive groups. Well, many of us thought that, but what he was actually talking about then was creator mode and creator managers, right? That was the investment he was talking about in the large team. I'm convinced that that's what it was.
Yeah, no, totally get that. Thanks, guys. And lots of people are asking questions and whatnot. And I remember talking about all these things across Clubhouse over the years in the LinkedIn Mastery Room. So that was really, really great. Let's go to Brenda. How about your prediction that didn't pan out?
So last year, my prediction at the end of the year, and I think like predictions, all we can really do is kind of say, what do we think is coming up around the corner? I mean, none of us really has a crystal ball. And I kind of feel like sometimes when we vocalize, here's what we want, LinkedIn goes the other direction, like, oh, that's what they want. Well, I don't think they're intentionally doing it, But I was kind of looking at what were the cues I was seeing at the end of last year. And my prediction was that company pages were going to increase in visibility on the platform. I think it came true. I think it's continuing to evolve. And in one just point today alone, within the past 12 hours, I'm an admin on multiple pages. I help some friends out and I have some clients managing their pages. And all these notifications are coming through that their page has been approved for LinkedIn Live.
Right.
In a flurry of them. And some of them, I'm like, I don't think I manage it for them. I created, I'm like, I don't think they even applied for it. So the flurry, it kind of feels like, what was it, about 2 weeks ago when the newsletters got approved and all of us got like 50 newsletter requests within a 24-hour period.
Mhm.
I haven't launched mine yet, by the way.
Me neither. You're waiting.
I'm waiting for it to kind of trickle, right?
Okay,
And
good.
but my prediction for last year was company pages. I think it came true, nailed it. And I think it's going to continue to be an evolution and increase in company pages for next year as well.
Okay. Well, we have a question for you later on, Brenda, about that
Mhm.
specifically. It's in the agenda, so take a look at that. Any other thoughts on that?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
there's
she's right.
no doubt that there's been more updates to company pages. They seem to be coming thick and fast. You know, just the other day, the rollout of linking your providing services page to your company page. I don't know if you've got that now, but I have. So you've got a view services button from your company page that takes you to your services page. But what we really need, which relates to an earlier point, is profile analytics that says things like how many people are clicking from your profile through to your services page, how many people are clicking see more on your about statement, how many people are listening to your audio pronunciation, looking at your cover story, how many people are clicking through to see all your recommendations. All of that is useful intelligence, and we're just flying completely blind. We need a dashboard that gives us Google Analytics for LinkedIn plugged into our profiles, and I'm happy to pay for that.
Mhm.
And if
So
anybody
maybe
wants to like tag the LinkedIn creators and the experts and the founders in the comments, let's get them watching this thing, because yeah, there's a bunch of people here who are amazing people, or they're champions, and they want these things. Go ahead, Cheryl.
It's because when you think about what John was saying as well, it's like the creator mode is kind of like, it's like half small business owner, half creator. Like if you merge those needs together, because Sales Navigator doesn't do that for us. And for many people that are actively using Sales Navigator, unless you're like in sales training, stuff, a totally different thing. But for most people, it's just too much of stuff I don't need and just a column of stuff I do. So when you look at that, that's just something that we need, those stats that matter to us. And I just think that's really important. And I really do hope that LinkedIn's listening. I know that they're doing more for us. And this is not, me trying to bite the hand that feeds me. But I recognize that. And then just to touch on what Brenda was saying as well, is like, just as far as company pages, what you need to recognize, for those of you, especially for those of you who are working in corporate and you're building your influence internally through corporate, what's happening now with company pages, especially the large multinationals, is they can feature your content on their company pages. And this is a way to access different opportunities and visibility within the corporate space that is coming alive, especially I'm not talking small business corporate company pages. I'm talking the conglomerate company pages, and do not ignore that, because that's an opportunity there that you just got to know the right people so that they are aware of your content and then they can feature it.
My goal is to win Andy over on company pages in 2022. That's my goal. Said here, said now.
I'm as Brenda and probably everyone on the screen knows, I'm not a big proponent of spending much time on company pages, because essentially people want to deal with me or yourselves because they identify with your name, and not so much whatever brand you've built. And I've been long. I echo John's point about one of my other predictions for last year was that we will see company page analytics for the personal page, because they're so darn good, and frankly anything would be better than what we have now on the personal page, because it's so basic. So yeah, I'd love that aspect, but I say, if you're an entrepreneur, you obviously need that company page for credibility, but I don't spend any time at all on it. I don't even put fresh content on there because I'm so busy on my other via my other page, and that's just the way it is for me. And I think that's it. That's That's my one contribution is people want to do business with people, and it's not like your brand is, Burger King. It's limp lettuce, right? You don't have that stronger brand clout, I'm afraid.
On the point about analytics,
I'm just going to say, ask yourself, whenever you have a company page commenting on your post, how often do you go, who's this?
Yeah.
Sorry, John.
Just on the point of analytics, which is something I'm really particularly interested in, today I got group analytics. So I run my own group, and I got a flashing purple diamond on the left-hand panel saying analytics. So that's showing me how many members are active and what the engagement stats are like. I haven't really dug into that yet, but that's the third new thing on groups this year. So there's granular notifications. You can do group by group, tick the bell for notifications. As of last week or the week before, you can do pinned posts as well as recommended posts. And now there's analytics rolling out for me as of today. That to me is a sign that they haven't actually given up on groups, which I kind of thought they had at the start of the year. And so I'm one of my main prediction, I guess, is that they are going to add even more new things to groups. And the killer feature would be LinkedIn Live, exclusive for group members. And also monetized groups. That would be a real game changer, I think. But we'll see. That's where I'm heading. Groups won't come back until they reinstate the announcement that goes group wide. You've got to have group owners fully invested in the whole group experience. They just won't come back. They won't run them properly. They won't do it unless there's something in it for them. And the biggest something in it for them was that group announcement feature. This recommend a post garbage. It's algorithm related. It's completely useless. Anyone who says that's a substitute for the announcement is dead wrong.
Thank you. And at the end of the day, go ahead, Bobby. It's okay.
No, I was going to say with someone else. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll close this group discussion off by saying, at the end of the day, everybody is like, their rules are not protecting the user, because if the owner of the group is abusing their power, then you leave the group. It's that simple. I don't need all those controls as a group owner. So it's just like, hopefully they're listening and they're thinking about this.
And I was just going to say about analytics. I mean, speaking of analytics, my newsletter analytics. So I sent out my second newsletter, and the analytics are, I can't see who's opened it. I can't see the distribution, the timeline of when they subscribed. There's just so little information. All I can find, and it took me a while to find it. Within the post itself, at the top right, I could click the subscriber number, and I could see who I assume it's my most recent subscribers. I don't know, but that's it. There's nothing else, and I find that to be extremely frustrating. If you want me to get invested in newsletters, which I am, and we talked about last time, I like to have those analytics. I don't think we had John to share his prediction that didn't pan out. Is that right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, my main one was going to be about for groups, for what's coming, for what's failed. I guess. Two things really, both about video. One of them did actually come true. So one of them was going to be the increasing reach of video, and yet I'm seeing fewer videos and LinkedIn Lives in my feed. They're just not turning up, probably because they've been drowned out by polls. And the thing that did come true, which was just a joke, was I said in a comment, I would love it if you could just click on someone's profile photo and it could go Harry Potter mode and we could just see a little video of them, but LinkedIn will never do that. And then cover story came along. So that I wasn't being serious because I didn't think it was possible, but I think that's a fantastic feature. So that's one wrong and one right. But yeah, my prediction.
How did you word it? Because maybe if we all say, I know they're not going to do it, but wouldn't it?
Yeah, they don't have the guts to do this, but it would be amazing.
Like when I tell my kids, I know you're not going to finish the dishes, so we can go get ice cream tonight, but I'll be over here.
I think you just have to insert Harry Potter into. And then that's the signal. I mean, Bobby, if you find them, the newsletter analytics, less than or not as interesting, useful. What about an algorithm that inserts itself between you and your newsletter subscribers based on so-called relevancy? Did you hear about that?
No, I did not. Share more, please.
John, you know about this, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I heard it from Kevin D. Turner, which is that, people subscribe to you and you expect that they will get a notification and they will get an email. That is the deal. except that they don't always get it. And when asked about this, LinkedIn did say that it's a relevancy thing. So some subscribers may not get notifications or may not get emails, and you think, well, okay, so I don't know how many people will now.
What?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It is
Well,
ridiculous.
yeah, exactly.
You subscribe to my newsletter and then you don't get the notification? That is outrageous.
Based on
but-
something
Who feels with
fluffy,
that?
something as fluffy as relevancy, which only LinkedIn decides or the algorithm decides.
But
I mean, come on.
This is the analog of following someone, and LinkedIn on their help page is saying when you follow someone, you will see
that's
all of their
different.
content in your feed. That's not true, and that's never been
Subscribers
true.
are different than the, oh my God.
Yes, I completely agree, but we don't know to what proportion this is going to happen. I mean, maybe you've got a small network and
Shouldn't happen at all.
Well, no,
If
no.
I subscribe, then I subscribe.
I'm
I don't
opting in.
I don't want anyone or anything getting between me and my vote to my action to
Exactly.
subscribe. It's as simple as that.
All
Come
they need to
on,
do-
LinkedIn.
All they need to do is make a very big unsubscribe button. So if you abuse
Exactly.
the power, I remove my vote.
Exactly.
It's not that deep.
It's this over reliance on algorithms. It's really lazy, and it really pisses people. It pisses your fans off.
Well,
right?
I mean,
People
and
that-
it reminds me of the whole thing with Facebook pages, Facebook company pages, where they reduce the reach in the algorithm, and so only like 1% were getting it. And the idea was to push them towards getting paid advertising. So if they're trying to move us, and to me, everything's almost always about money. Okay, so if they want to pay me, or they want me to pay to have my subscribers on my newsletter get my newsletters. If they want me to pay for my company page, I have 22,000 followers on the company page. Are they commenting, engaging? Hell no. I don't know what number are seeing the stuff that I'm putting out there. They're gonna, I think that to me is a big issue, and it to me comes down to money often.
Yeah, what I'm going to do, my current experiment is to put tracked links on all of my posts, and I'm going to extend that to my newsletter, although I'm only going to be publishing that once a month, so I'm not going to get very much data from this. But in my call to action or in the other links that I put in my newsletter, because it's a genuine hyperlink, so you can put some nice pretty text, but you can put a tracking code behind that, and you can see, per 1,000 views, let's say, how many people really click on this thing. I've only done a few posts since starting this experiment, so short form posts, and the click-through numbers are very, very low indeed for the number of views the stuff is getting. I'll report that around Christmas, but I'll do the same on newsletters just to see whether there's a bit more kind of market penetration from those 8,000 or whatever subscribers I've got on my newsletter versus 38,000 followers on my short form posts, and see what the click kind of ratios are.
Yeah, I mean, the answer would be to give users the necessary analytics to understand what's going on with their content, long form or short form. But to put an algorithm in there to let that decide things for you is really treating us like babies. Give us the analytics. If we're seeing a bad or a low click through rate, then maybe it's a one off. Maybe our the quality of our content just wasn't there that time. And like as Cher said, they have the option to walk away. They can unsubscribe. So treat us more like adults, give us the analytics and let us decide and to adjust course, but don't insert an algorithm which basically nullifies the vote, the action to follow, to subscribe to us.
And then if they really wanted to, they can monetize it simply by having some sort of compulsory ad component that is driven by their ad engine that goes into the newsletter. At least this way they monetize every single person who sent out their newsletter. Just like that will be a feature, just like as if you were on Forbes or Entrepreneur or wherever else, have that built in. It's why is this it's so basic and so frustrating that it's like, let the people talk, let the people say, I don't want to subscribe to this anymore. It's not that deep. And the algorithm is designed to make money and keep people on the platform, right? So but you're not doing it in an effective, at this point, they're misusing the potential of what an algorithm can do.
Thanks everybody for your contributions. We're in the middle of this. This is the Power of Connection chat. We broadcast every couple of weeks now. So we're now moving towards doing it twice a month. December 14th and December 28th are our next ones. It's going to be the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month. So that's really what we're going to plan. So hopefully join us. We'll try to bring in more guest speakers. And if you know people that want to be part of this, tag them below. We're looking for some of the, as you can tell, the quality here is top notch influencers and thought leaders on this platform who are driving change and doing some really great stuff. I want to switch to, before we do a prediction for 2022, I actually want to get to the questions for Brenda and Cher. So, because they are our guests and we welcome you and we hope you come again and maybe you become regulars and we rotate. I don't know. I mean, this is also new to me, so I don't even know. Like I had given up on live stream, to be honest, and I'm hoping Cher can, Cher will probably give more insights to that. But let's go to Brenda's question. So, Brenda, just today, Richard Vandenblom shared a post that said in the last couple of months, there's a recent drop in organic company page reach with almost 20% drop. And he says, could it be that LinkedIn is tweaking the algorithm to convince companies to start using advertising? What are your thoughts and insights on the importance of company pages and this specific trend just now?
There's a whole lot in that question. First, I want to kind of tackle the phrase of organic reach. And I didn't read the report, so I'm going to rely on all of you to help to interpret. Organic reach, is he saying people from the homepage seeing his post? Is he saying people within the page when they visit, once they get there, they're seeing less? What's the definition?
It was post today was saying that the organic reach of company posts, probably within the company page itself, is dropped by 20% in the last couple of months.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of separate this into two buckets. There's kind of the algorithm, the things that drive views and supposedly drive user behavior and helps to keep, to Cher's point, people on the platform, so LinkedIn can service more ads and things like that. And then there's human behavior, and we try to understand the algorithm, we try to predict it, we try to understand what are the rules that come into all of this. At the end of the day, I mean, we don't know because we're not in that room, we're not the programmers and coders, so we can kind of make educated guesses on what's happening. From that side, I'll say what I think is happening is, kind of related to my prediction last year, company pages are increasing in visibility. So more people are visiting company pages. We still only have 24 hours in a day. We didn't get more time last year. So the pie, if you will, has the same amount of slices in it. And there's more pages maybe we're looking at over the past year. I mean, I know I've used my 100-page credits every month. I know a lot of you are probably getting those. So we're probably getting more requests to go to pages. So it's spreading that out a little bit. So yeah, maybe organic reach is dipping because of that, but I'm going to go to the other side, which is the people element. And I look at company pages as a destination. And when you start to think about it this way, maybe it'll help you kind of rethink of the value of a company page. Company page is like walking inside a store in the mall. Now I will walk inside a Bath and Body Works and right away they'll hand me a basket and they'll say, we got buy 3 for 3. And I'll be like, I'm not buying anything. And I'm throwing things in the basket, Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm not a sporting person. I do yoga. That's about it. I usually will walk past that store. I don't go into it, right? Even if they're like, buy one, get one half off. I'm like, not interested. Keep on walking. Company pages to me are the same way. I will only visit a company page if I am interested in the company, its product or services, or to Andy's point, the person who is behind that page. That's why I go to the company page. So once I'm there, I'm open, I'm receptive to what they are posting. I'm reading, I'm soaking in information. It's kind of like the difference of picking up a People magazine and flipping through it as I'm watching TV and picking up a Wall Street Journal and being in information immersion mode. So when I go to your company page, there may not be as many people who are reading it. There may not be as great of reach, but it's highly, highly concentrated because those are people who are interested in my content. So I don't know if I got to the answer your question. Hopefully they gave you a little bit of insight there though, Bobby.
Any thoughts? That obviously is a lot of insight
Well,
for sure.
So on the 20% reduction of reach, this was in Richard Vanderblom's latest report, and I think he was talking about reach for everyone, not just company pages, right? So now that's an interesting one, isn't it? Particularly if it continues. So if it if it continues to, your reach becomes curtailed every year from now on, right? That would be remarkable. Now, if this is true, if this is actually happening, then we have to ask ourselves, why could this be? And could it be as simple as there are now an increasing amount of eyeballs all vying for attention, all creators vying for attention, and a decreasing amount of eyeballs. So you've got more people producing content, more and more people producing content, and a fixed or a limited amount of people consuming. So therefore, if those dynamics are correct, I think it's simple, but it could be true that you're just going to have to figure on getting less reach and therefore less engagement. That could be what's happening. Now, his latest post might be, I think, along the lines of, could this be something that LinkedIn is doing on purpose to increase perhaps reach or impact of company pages, because that's the money maker for them? I think that's what he was suggesting. I don't know if that's, if that's the case. No idea, frankly. But I mean, if they are money obsessed and they need to, watch the bottom line always, it kind of makes sense, right?
No, I think
LinkedIn's
so.
a business, right? They need to have a business model in place, right? And
Yeah.
we respect that. And to the question of, are they doing this to drive more people to advertising? Maybe. I mean, eventually I'm not hearing of people saying, I want to advertise on LinkedIn because I'm not reaching my audience. That's not the question right now. I mean, the questions I'm getting are, how do I use a company page? Today, in the past 24 hours, it's how do I do live? I'm listening to the word on the street right now. And eventually maybe people will start to do more advertising, but we all know that, it doesn't really make sense to throw money at LinkedIn advertising unless you're going to spend a lot and then plan to be on the platform for a while. So when they give you that, what is it, $100 ad credit? It's kind of like, that's chump change. It's not going to get you a lot, right? It's like gum I found on the street. I don't know. It doesn't have a lot of value to me personally.
I think they'll do much better if they can just focus on the other monetization things that they're developing. So, whatever in pay, in wallet, whatever it's going to be called, this new marketplace where you'll be able to interface between service providers and clients directly, and maybe LinkedIn having a payment system within there and creaming some of that money off the top. That is going to surely make them a really good residual income from all the service providers on LinkedIn saying, yeah, I'll help you with video, copywriting, logo design, whatever, tax, accountancy, all those things could be done in a frictionless way through LinkedIn. And I think that's a brand new revenue stream. And that would be a lot more palatable than, let's say, putting a boost button on personal profiles. And everyone's going to say then LinkedIn has become Facebook. You're never going to get any reach. Let's move to a different platform. I think that would be a really bad move. Not to say it won't happen, though. Who knows?
Yeah. And again, I think that sorry, Andy, but I just think that we are now, or our conversation definitely has a small business focus, and I get it because of who's on this call, and we're all small business owners. But looking at the other side, especially those people who are trying to build their brands within large multinational corporations, or trying to build their brands within like those Fortune 500s, recognizing that, okay, if we're seeing all this functionality being added to the company pages, there's an opportunity for you to build your brand within so that you are ready for prime time when it comes for those live opportunities, because now companies, whether large or small, are looking for other ways to co-create content with those who are part of the brand. And so that is where organic, real content that will attract people not only just to buy their products, but say, hey, I want to work there because this is the caliber of talent that works there. So from a personal branding level, there's an opportunity for you to then leverage your profile to put proof out there that, one, you are an expert within your industry, within the company, and also for them to co-opt that content and feature it on their company pages, as well as look for opportunities for cross promotion and co-creation between the employee brand, or the individual employee brand, as well as the employer brand, and create these strategies. So I think that company pages, when used well, especially when it's a people-powered marketing approach, is a huge opportunity. And again, it's not just about sales, it's also about culture and talent attraction and retention as well.
I was going to ask about ProFinder. Do you remember that? Is it still a thing? And was it paid? Was it a paid service? I recall. I mean, I dabbled.
Free, but then you had to pay after you got, like, if you submitted 3 proposals, your 4th one you had to pay to get. Right. And that's when I stopped.
Yeah.
Because that marketplace is replacing it, isn't it? That it's the successor.
Right, because that's an interesting mechanism, isn't it, for people who do run their own business and want to try and get additional clients, and if they're willing to pay for it, and then you have to balance, the ROI Are the fees worth it?
Oh, Bobby, you're on mute.
Bobby's muted. We need the you're on mute sign right now.
Sorry.
There you go.
I want to address the, at least I'm very visual. So you can see like Bobby's talking, very animated.
That's the mark of a professional host, is to
There you
mute,
go.
certainly in a busy household.
So yeah, my daughter's homesick today. So so I want to answer a couple questions because again, we want people to ask questions. There's some amazing people here, so ask your questions. So the first question, actually, I'll put it to John. Is Shield working on additional analytics?
I believe so, but they haven't shared any recent news with me. I mean, I was a beta tester for them when they launched the product, and I've got a kind of mishmash account with all the new features being chucked into it. I haven't seen anything brand new. The newest thing I've seen is speed views, which has been there for a little while, which is a very, very powerful way of seeing when the engagement actually is starting to slip away from your current post so that you know when to put your next post into flight. That's not a new feature. It's been there for at least a few months.
That's on Shield? Can we all use it, or is that only a John Experience special?
Speed views, I don't know which package grade you need to be on to get it, but it's definitely rolled out to the public, but I don't know if it's on all accounts.
Yeah, I have it too. It's a cool thing for sure. Andreas Johnson did say, I think about 6 weeks ago, that we are completely changing the whole Shield offering. So that was it, though. That was the sum of it. He wouldn't say any more.
Can you guys comment a bit more on the Shield app? Because I've also heard from some people about the legitimacy of using it and how it applies to LinkedIn's rules.
The way the Chrome extension works means, and the timing of their release of it means that they are pretty much safe. At some point, some false red flags were put up saying, Shield's to blame, everyone get off this platform. LinkedIn are banning people. Then it turned out that they were banning people for other things like mistaken auto profile viewing, which they weren't actually doing. They were just opening loads of browser tabs at the same time. A human thing to do sometimes. So yeah, I don't think Shield is one of those that is likely ever to come under the radar for LinkedIn to boot. My conversations with Andreas are that right now this software, this analytics platform is looking over your shoulder at stuff that's already happened, and they want to move it to something that looks towards the horizon and lets you do predictive analytics, looking at your data set and then saying, this kind of post would work for you, that kind of thing. So that there's a lot more AI would be going into that. And I think that's where they're moving towards. So rather than just reporting, giving you predictions and advice, that's probably the future of the platform.
So Shield uses a Chrome extension at the startup of the relationship between you and the software, and then it goes away. So that's the key difference. LinkedIn has a problem with web extensions if you're using them continually and you're using them for things like scraping. Now, is Shield scraping? No, it's not scraping. It's basically it's the same as you archiving your own data. It's your data that you're giving permission to Shield to analyze, not global data. So that allied with a couple other things. For example, they've been in business for so long now, they would have been shut down if there was an issue. They wouldn't be a going concern. And they have, apparently amongst the Shield users, they have LinkedIn staffers using their service. So I think pretty safe. John, have you ever been suspended? You're a Shield user.
No, never.
I've never been suspended either.
I haven't, and I've had no issues with it at all. And I agree with you, Andy. If LinkedIn was banning it, they wouldn't have their own employees using it. I think that's a really good point.
That's a strong one. Yeah.
Awesome.
So we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. The other question came up was, how is Clubhouse doing with LinkedIn integration and things like that? Are people still using it? So I'll answer that one. So to me, I've been using Clubhouse. I've also been using Twitter Spaces. And to me, social audio is the new stories. That's my take. Stories from 5 years ago, it was a great way to connect your audience, to show behind the scenes and do a lot of great stuff with it. And everyone's trying to adopt stories across your platforms. For me, social audio is the new story, because you can create much deeper content. So for me, like when I'm a big video guy, and video is the best way to create deeper content, trust. But I can tell you 10 videos in a row from me on LinkedIn is far less effective than 2 audio rooms for an hour. because by the time I've talked to people for an hour in an audio room, and I've tested this over and over again. I also use Sales Navigator for testing my business, and I use my organic growth on my profile. I get the best business results from the integration of LinkedIn and Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces, which I'm now doing once weekly. And the way I do it simply is LinkedIn is my space for demonstrating my thought leadership expertise, to make strategic connections, to let people know exactly what I do for a living. And then I invite them to Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces to have those more meaningful conversations. And within one or two of those sessions, I'll be able to actually get them to sign up for one of my, smaller end programs that are, that's paid, and then eventually upsell them to my larger programs. And it's been incredible for doing so. And I also look at this as the same way with LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, creator mode, newsletters. What happens is there's a flurry of people that want to do this stuff. And then a lot of people leave because it's not working instead. But there are, even LinkedIn groups, which I always say is a bunch of cemeteries. There's actually one LinkedIn group that I'm part of that actually she's done a very good job of curating it, and it's very engaging. But that's one. And she's a
Sufi?
rare.
Is that
Yeah,
Sufi?
Sufi. Yeah.
Sufi.
Yeah,
Step
she's
into
done
the
a really
spotlight.
great job of that. It's very, very rare. And there are people who are running Clubhouse rooms that are doing a really, really good job. And then there's a whole bunch that suck. Same with Facebook groups that are good and suck. And now Andy's moving his to Discord. There's going to be Discord groups that are great and ones that suck. And that's just how it is. The ones who know how to do it well and have learned have basically worked with the best on here and figured it out. That's my take.
Do we think that when audio does eventually launch on LinkedIn, if indeed it does, do you think they'll restrict it to say you can only do it through your company page, or you can only chat with connections but not your followers, or you must do it through a private group and therefore you need to set up your own group? Or do you think it'll be something like a kind of drive-by scroll where you can just see a little flashing microphone on someone's post and it says this person is now talking, do you want to listen in?
I'll say two things.
Yeah.
One, I think that when they do it, it won't be as good as other social audio apps.
Wow, yeah.
Aw, poor LinkedIn.
It's true. It's true. I'd rather have them invest $1 billion and build a whole new platform, and then over 48 hours shut down LinkedIn and transfer all of us to that with everything. I would prefer that, but I don't think it's going to be as good. That said, they also want people, as many users as possible, to use it, so I think it's going to be quite public.
Yeah, agreed. I don't understand what's taking them so long. Obviously, that's coming from a non-technical guy, because I have no idea what goes into it. But yeah, they were hot and heavy on Clubhouse at the beginning of last year.
March.
They were,
Yeah.
they were
And it's
talking to
like-
everybody. Yeah.
Right, and it's okay. So how long does this thing take? Yeah. How long does it take? It's in no rush. Okay, fine. But
I wonder if they're going to look for something that's like on LinkedIn Live, it's not hosted on LinkedIn. It's like you have to go through a streaming server and then it points to LinkedIn. I mean, my Harry Potter ask of LinkedIn would
there you
be
go.
find an external streaming audio place and then point
Wisdom.
it to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
A la
Right.
Harry Potter, right?
Funny that you say that, though, because a couple of the Microsoft streams with, I think, Satya Nadella and Ryan Roslansky, it's like, hang on, what platform are you? This looks like it's a native thing running inside LinkedIn. Is this the precursor of something that's going to come? So I suspect that given that LinkedIn now has a kind of Zoom alternative for live meetings that you can set up in DMs, maybe that could be extensible to live video so that you don't need a third-party app. That would be a good improvement. On the audio point, I'd like to see them take a first step by doing something that Twitter does that almost no one uses, which is that you hit the mic button on a new post, you record some audio, and then it creates the visual furniture around that for you. So it puts your profile photo and a little waveform, and it could even, I think it does actually caption it on Twitter now. All you've done is speak into a mic. Essentially, it's an upgrade from voice notes through DMs, but you could do it publicly. If they did that, they could develop
That
that,
would be game changing.
and other people can go into this stream and say their thing. That would be the way forward, and I'd love to see that, because I've got loads of things. I don't want to run my own podcast, but I would certainly do that.
I love that.
Go back to the question about when's LinkedIn going to invest in this. I mean, I would ask the same thing of Facebook. I mean, they have way more money. Where is the Facebook one? You would think that they would be developing one soon, but I haven't seen that, so I'm not sure. I want to segue to a question for Cher, because, and again, if you're on this listening, share this on your page. Apparently sharing on your page is better now, according to Richard Vanderblom. So share this live stream on your pages and ask questions, but share. So the question is, you're the live stream queen, and I love the stuff you've always done. What do you make of the latest algorithm research? And what is your current strategic advice for people to make use of live stream? Because I'm curious where you are. But the general gist is that users have increased significantly, 500+%. Lives get 20 times more comments than native video, 6 times more likes than native video. There's about a 10 to 50%, but only a 10 to 15% increase of LinkedIn live videos in our feed. And now company pages are getting them. I am starting to do these again, even though the truth is that the views and impressions aren't.
They're not that great.
I mean, we had the big, huge one we had with Richard Vanderblom. Like there was like 250 people who attended who said yes to the invite, and we had 300 comments, 750 views. Now,
yeah,
okay, I don't know what that means. Does the view mean 3 seconds? Does it mean the whole thing? To me, I still think there's great quality of that, but I'd love to have your take on this.
So the interesting thing with lives is I think they do have a purpose. They do have an incredible, just like Clubhouse rooms, in the sense that you get to experience the brand and you get to have it on the fly. Like this is real-time conversation. And there's nothing that beats that, because that quickly will help people recognize whether you are 1 click deep or 8 clicks deep as far as your knowledge. And because there's so many people who do it, or who say they do what we do, but at the same time, when you ask, it's just like you're just regurgitating somebody's blog post with your own flair, right? You don't know what, you're just not that deep yet. And that comes in time. And so I'm not, knocking anybody who's new, I'm just saying, but that's the beauty of live. And when you think about the natural reason why there will be more comments is because it's a conversational style thing. So the same, you may get that much more comments, but just simply because it's the same people having an interactive conversation. So people don't leave 5 comments on a typical post. They leave 1, but this is yeah, I agree. Love that idea. So of course, right? So you look at that, the views are very low on lives. When you have consistency, so I can look back to when I was very consistent. Tuesday nights, people knew where to find me. They were messaging me if I wasn't on yet or whatever. So it's like, you have to, if you want to win at live, you have to be consistent. You have to train your audience. And more importantly, you have to recognize that your content is a gift that keeps on giving if you are giving a good gift. Right? So there's that. And so I believe that live shouldn't be your main strategy, but it should be part of your strategy. But only if you're good, but it will work best if you're consistent with it. I still think, and from what I've heard, even from my creator manager, whatnot, LinkedIn, just keep trucking at the video, keep doing the live, because LinkedIn is still going to be prioritizing video no matter what. So one of the ways that I've been able to leverage live is I have a client that I work with, and while we're not going live, we use the live platform to create a packaged podcast. And so my prediction, I guess, because that's kind of where this question is going.
Segue. That was the next thing, right?
That's what I do, right? So my prediction is the same especially from live streaming. It's the same thing I said last year, but it's going to be continue to level up. So what we're seeing is those that are going to rock at live, they're leveling up. So last year it was about leveling up your equipment, and you look at like Andy's mic, and everything that he's got set up, got a sound system set up. This year, I thought I had a great camera last year until I leveled up to this camera, and that's like next level. So those that are taking it seriously are going to, because that's how you're going to stand out. You have to, 1, focus on your content, right? 2, focus on the consistency of showing up and building your audience. And then 3, level up on your equipment in that order. Content, audience, equipment. Do not put sure, there's ways that you can start up and start with some at least decent stuff. Unless you have the budget, then go all out. But bottom line is this is going to become a production. And I think that there's opportunities there, but do not lose sight of regular video, because that will have a longer shelf life in the content stream.
I'm the least regular live streamer out of all of us here, but I think the content and your knowledge that you display is the most important. And this is the reason I love Clubhouse, is because Clubhouse and live video are brilliant at one thing, and that's exposing charlatans. If you don't know your stuff, you're not going to be able to go and Google the answer in a blog post while someone's asking you a question on live. You've got to know it, or you got to get out of the way. And so from that point of view, it's a really powerful medium, because you can see who knows their stuff and you can see who's padding.
What I loved about Clubhouse was that because you don't have to dress up, because you don't have to worry about how you look, because you're never ever going to be on cam. It's like the equivalent of polls and lurkers, right? You get all these lurkers coming to the room. They're sat in their chair and they're listening, or they're lying on their bed, they're listening. They never have to worry about participating. But if the conversation's interesting to them, sufficiently interesting to them, they'll leap up on the stage. And before you know it, that lurker who would never have dreamt about joining the convo suddenly is. Incredibly powerful. By the way, don't click on that QR code, because that is a picture. That's a video of John running naked on a treadmill with an apple in his.
You know what?
Don't do it,
Everybody's
folks.
like holding up their phones.
Please
right
don't
now.
do
Yeah,
it.
no,
It's gross. It's gross.
My daughter was asking me about this the other day, and I said, one day I'm going to change that, and I'm going to rickroll people, send them to YouTube, never going to give you up.
Send them to Andy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Someone asked, actually, Cher and Andy, can you recommend the leveled up equipment needed?
Oh, Cher, go ahead.
Okay, well, it depends on where you're starting from. So and I'm going to actually be doing a Tap That App gear guide, 2 Ps. And I'm going to be talking about all of my recommended equipment. But I would say if you're just rolling into this, the Logitech Brio is probably the best camera that you could possibly get for a budget. The camera that I'm using right now is the Sony EV10. I hate the way Sony calls their stuff, but anyways, and then I have a Sigma lens on that. So you're talking like a package of, like, by the time you put that together, you have to have a streaming, like a capture card. So the Elgato streaming card, you're talking at just under $2,000 investment at the end of the day. I also have lighting set up, like flat panel lighting, but the Logitech Brio does a really good job with backlighting and all that stuff. Like, it modifies it. It's not going to be like crystal clear HD, but it is, even though they say it's an HD camera, but it's a really good start. Next up, Andy, let's talk about mics. Like, you have the best mic.
Yeah, I got lucky. I did my research, and I love this thing. It's an Electro Voice RE20, and it's a workhorse. You'll see it in many professional studios, and it's a delightful thing. I've got it hooked up into a Rodecaster Pro, which is perfect for people who just want to start out with podcasting or any kind of sound mixing. Frankly, it's dead easy to use, and it's very well, it gives you, it's powerful as well, so it gives you all of the things you want. For example, sound buttons that do this.
This is Sparta!
And I think there are something like 64 of those that you can program. And I've got so the mic I love, and then I've got a cam. The reason I chose this cam was 1080p, but it also has a flap. So I know that I'm never ever going to get spied on if this flap is down. And it's a simple thing, but it's important to me.
Yeah.
And then I've got another one coming, which does the bokeh effect. Cher and I have discussed it, and I found that on I think it was Kickstarter, so I'm excited to play around with that. So that's the approach, right? I do my research and I keep an eye on tech to see what's the best thing, and of course I'm always learning. So I'm still learning things about this mic. I'm still learning things about all of my equipment, frankly, and that's I think that's the hallmark of progress, certainly.
Cher mentioned a Brio. I'm using a Brio right now with and I don't have a green screen. It's a virtual background, so you can see it. You know, it's not brilliant, but it's actually pretty good. When I'm in my normal location, it's actually really good.
Yeah, and lighting is important. So I've got natural light here because I've got a window, and then I've got LED lights that I can turn on, and I've got a green screen that actually collapses, so it comes all the way up.
Yeah,
and so I can do lots of different things if I want.
Awesome. So go ahead, Cher. before
I was just going to say, and then the further opportunity is like choosing which software you're using, because that will help you to upgrade the quality, the movement of your show and how it looks. And then finally, the final upgrade would be to hire a producer, for example. So there's a lot of people stepping into the play. I'm like a one-woman show. I produce my own stuff. But that's because I have a broadcasting background. So I didn't start at zero when I started live streaming, and I've been doing it a long time. However, there are a lot of really good live stream producers. Hopefully some of them are watching even later on, that they can put their names in the chat, because that might be a way for you to level up really quickly.
Awesome. And we're at the hour now, but we're going to keep going because there's lots of people watching and lots of questions, and we also didn't get to the predictions. So I want to get to that and make sure everyone has a chance to share their predictions. And of course, I know Andy has multiple, so we'll let him start with.
All right.
And you know what, you can share a couple, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll go to everybody else.
Awesome. Thanks, Bobby. So I predict that there's going to be less virality. So what I mean by that is, if you guys remember, I think it was about 3 years ago, LinkedIn came out and said, you know what, guys, we're seeing too much virality. We're seeing too much given to the 2%, not enough to the 98%. I think they're going to have to make that adjustment again, because I think we're all seeing them and we're thinking, why is this got thousands and I'm struggling? And I think
That's what it is.
Yeah. So
it's like, can we stop with that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I think they're going to have to do something along those lines. And I also think similarly, when something has just gone like too cray is polls. They must have heard by now the cacophony of people complaining. Listen, I'm done with polls. Please, 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 for the love of God, just a filter or something. No more polls. Pause polls, please. Even the good ones now, right? I'm bored with.
Yep. And can we all at least commit to using the word cacophony at least once this week? Because that is the word of the week. Thank you very much, Andy Foote.
Here's another one, copacetic. Trying to make copacetic cool again.
Because polls don't bother me. I just scroll if I don't like them. I usually stop on the ones for people I like, or I think if the poll is interesting, but otherwise I just scroll. It's just clutter, I don't know. I don't bother, but I hear what you're saying, Andy. I think they are kind of a cacophony of polls on LinkedIn right now.
Yeah.
I think LinkedIn, one Gryffindor.
I think LinkedIn is, they are very sensitive about people who are upset with something on LinkedIn, or whether it's too many notifications. They are sensitive to that, and I think they'll hopefully make an adjustment.
Any thoughts on his predictions, guys? Sound good? Looks like everyone's on board.
Yeah, we just don't know the mind of LinkedIn, do we? I mean, all of my things are just small things, because I think I've got the best chance of getting these things right, and I still don't think they're going to do them. So I might as well just tell you some of the things that I want. That when you get popular on LinkedIn, when you start getting lots of notifications, you start realizing that things like so-and-so has liked your post is a really low value notification, but you can't opt out of stuff like that without opting out of so-and-so has commented on your post. And I think, well, I'm interested in engagement, and a reaction isn't engagement for me. Not really. A comment is, though. A DM is. I want to know about those things. I'd like more control, even though LinkedIn gives you loads of control over the settings. There are so many things there. They don't give you control over the things that you really want to see. Like, I'd love to see a see first feed, so you can just nominate your favorite 3 people and say everything from this person, please, at the top. And if I want to unpin that person and nominate someone else in my top 3 or however many, that would be so much more valuable. But I guess they want to upsell you to Sales Navigator so you can mark people as leads and do it like that, Things like reordering recommendations, that really ought to come back, because I think you used to be able to do that at some point, or at least you used to be able to move recommendations in some capacity around your profile, and you can't do that, And I think a really big change is if they could rework the search feature to make it something like Twitter's search, which is so much more powerful. You know, Twitter's got these custom search filters, and you can look for keywords in headlines, or you can look for posts between one date and another date. That would be so powerful. Or you could search comments by saying, you know, in comments, and then a search thing. These are things that they could build in. Their technical solutions. I don't think it would be too hard. It's just whether they, you know, that they focus on those things. Even something as simple as saying, do a search that says, is Andy connected to Cher? Because that's a hard thing to find out right now, because they've got 530 mutual connections, and you go, I don't know if they're connected with each other. I don't know how long they've been connected with each other. Something like that would be really helpful. Small things, a lot of small things would make the platform a lot better rather than some Hollywood change.
Whenever you mention something like that, you know, the simple stuff that seems to be missing, I tend to go stickiness. I tend to think that it's dark mode, or rather dark UI. So in other words, it's done on purpose to make us flounder a little, to keep us. And it's conspiracy, right?
Absolutely.
But whenever there's something like that, which, why do they do it this way? I always go, or tend to always go to, maybe it's done on purpose, maybe it's by design, maybe they want us here floundering and, you know, flailing around and wasting our precious time. And as long as we're on LinkedIn, that's the main thing.
Well, about a year and a half ago, when they tested mobile invitation notes, so that when you click connect on mobile, it would prompt you to send a note, and then they didn't launch that feature. That to me was stupidity, because surely that leads you to make a better connection with someone and therefore stay on the profile longer. You know, maybe you end up with a call out of that you wouldn't otherwise have had. You know, things like that. I think that's just poor design, and they ought to fix that, and that would be so simple. And they tested it and decided not to. Weird.
I want to make sure we get to Cher, because she has to go. She's a harder stop, and some of us might be able to stay a little bit longer. But so Cher, what we've actually, and also the big thing too is, like, you know, these people are here. They're amazing. I love them. I support them. They're, as we say in Clubhouse, they are spending their time with us and giving their knowledge. If you want to work with them, please reach out to them and support their work. So, so number one, Cher, please promote something that you want us to know about. And then number two, share a prediction for 2022.
All right. So this year and coming up next year, I'm really doubling down on the corporate influencer space and corporate training around how professionals, especially the leaders, subject matter experts, and consultants, are leveraging their brand in a hybrid work world, because it's different now. Personal branding is not an option, is not optional. So, but they don't need, you know, to learn how to be famous. The majority of those people are just trying to show up credible and professional and use this platform more as a functional, tactical extension of their role and of their futures. So that's where I focus. So a lot of the stuff that we see out there are typically either it's to be like the mega influencer, the Insta star, or for small businesses, or for job hunting. I don't work with job hunters. I work with people who actually love their job and who want to stand out and be visible in their company, and also connect with those champions and allies and mentors so that they can grow. So that's where I am. So I'm focusing on the training. So if you know that your company right now is thinking about, well, how do we show up digitally as well as face-to-face, I'm the one you need to talk to, because I'm doing the team training in that area. And so my prediction is going to be, I think there's going to be a different way that we interface with our content on our profile. So I think there's going to be a profile makeover when it goes to, like, when you go like the latest post, like that area of our profiles. I believe that there may be some sort of like, not necessarily like I think they're going to prioritize video. So I think it's going to be a YouTube channel, like my channel kind of approach, where not just the featured content on the front, because that really, you know, that's great for a call to action and stuff like that, but not to really truly consume the content. So I think by clicking in and being able to see that creators, especially in creator mode, they'll probably test it there first. And this is me saying it as if it's already existing, but I'll speak it into existence, is that we'll have a YouTube channel / Instagram profile style of content where we could, you know, set it up and people can consume your content in a better way, because it's not always what ends up in the news feed, especially for those who are not trying to be famous. It's really around showing their credibility and their skills and what it's for the people who are coming to them because they want to know. So there's just so many, that's my thing, is they're going to prioritize video, and we are going to see our content displayed in a different way on our profile. That's my prediction.
Thanks, Cher. That was amazing. And I really appreciate you being here today. I know you have to go soon. So anybody have any thoughts on, go ahead, Cher.
I just want to say it is so awesome. Like, one of the things that Clubhouse did for us as a group really brought us together. And I mean, I did a lot of work extensively with you, Bobby, and also with Andy, and I got to be in rooms with Brenda and John. So like, and it connected us all, and definitely built a level of respect, because I know who's on this panel, and I know the depth of knowledge that people right now have access to. And like, this is a good group. So if you guys are not following each and every one of these creators and these thought leaders who know their stuff, make sure you follow, because like, I vouch for them, each one of them. So thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, Cher. Appreciate that. Let's go to Brenda. Brenda, for your prediction for 2022.
Again, I don't think any of us can look too far around the corner. So my advice for everyone watching this, if they're looking for what's going to be happening, you know, throughout 2022, is just watch for the cues. Watch when you see new things popping up in your profile, or I mean, right now, even in your company page, there's new drop downs that are there that nobody's really announced or tried out. I still think there's more potential for company pages to come in 2022. I don't know what those changes are. I think there's more opportunity within that space. On something I'd like to see LinkedIn do, and Cher just gave me a really brilliant idea I'd like to submit to the LinkedIn powers that be. Why don't they create a LinkedIn video library, like almost like a YouTube, where they pull all the videos that sit on profiles and pages and make them searchable by keywords and phrases, almost like a user-generated LinkedIn learning library. Wouldn't that be cool? And wouldn't you stay on LinkedIn longer if the videos were there, as opposed to clicking over to YouTube? So there's an idea for the LinkedIn team. Yeah, so in terms of what's to come next, I don't know. I kind of look just around the corner, what's coming up in the next couple months. I'm just watching what's happening right now. I think, to Cher's advice, following the people who know their stuff here on LinkedIn and are willingly sharing that information. There's many of us LinkedIn trainers and coaches who are always, right now, that we're even saying, hey, there's these new features coming out on profiles. Like, I don't have it yet. The service provider thing that you were talking about earlier, John, I don't have that yet linked on my company page. But on my company page, there's like a products tab that you can only get if you have a technology or an IT product. I've tested it out. I try to get it in the back end. So I'm just watching those cues, and I'm watching to see which things are going to play out on LinkedIn. And that's my advice to anyone watching here.
Any thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, that video library is, because that's the problem with videos, isn't it? They're kind of they vanish in the ether. You produce them and they're gone. They're pretty hard to find, let alone search. But to add on to that excellent suggestion, what about transcripts? Automatically generated transcript of everything said live with all of the ums and the ahs taken out. There are services that do that now. So why not do that? It's all content, frankly. And if it's not findable, if it's not searchable, then it's a goddamn waste.
Yeah, good shout. Microsoft must have tech for this already, and patching it into LinkedIn couldn't be that hard. I think that'd be a great. And there was something earlier in Toma Cohen's newsletter today talking about how accessibility is so important to LinkedIn, and I can think of several places where they're not actually coming through on that. Tiny things on the mobile app. Tiny hit areas that if you miss it, you go to another screen. That's not accessible. But this would be a big accessibility change. So yeah, all in for anything that's to do with captioning. And actually, on the accessibility note, I've asked something within my group about voice notes. I want to get more people using voice notes, although I accept that they're not accessible to everyone. It'd be nice to have a voice note that you could maybe click and say, I don't have time to listen to this now, but what did they say? Boom, text. There it is. Something like that would be really useful.
Yeah, like an in pronunciation.
And I think the predictions are really turning into, what are the hopes we have? Please, LinkedIn gods, do these things for us. And some of them are small, some of them are big. I mean, if I were to make a prediction, I mean, we love LinkedIn and we want LinkedIn to be better, but we also are its probably fiercest critics, right? I mean, we've done it all the time. One of the things I'll say is that, I look at, people ask me when are stories coming back? When are they getting audio? Our video is going to be better in 2021. What about newsletters and groups? I mean, all these things that come up, and if I have to pick one that's going to happen, because and as much as I love video and I love live streams, they've had so much time with it. Okay, and I don't see it, improving. Like, I like that they have the creator people now, and I like they're trying to have us engage more. And that's great. But so they have the live streams and they have the newsletters. So maybe live streams do better, maybe newsletters do better. That's great. I don't think stories are going to come back anytime soon. I'd love for them to come back. I will put my money more on audio space. I think that, again, because it's something that I'm pushing on to one of my clients, that audio space is the new thing. And I think that LinkedIn would be foolish to not put money on that. So it's not going to come soon, but I think that they have to launch something in 2022 around an audio space. And when that happens, those on Clubhouse, those on Twitter Spaces, we can take our knowledge and take our expertise in doing this and start using them. Because you can do a live stream in an audio space at the same time, which we're now recommending to our clients on Clubhouse and Twitter Space anyways. And there are software and tools for that. So to me, that's where I would invest my time and energy into getting really good at that and learn how to do it, because I think it's going to be coming in 2022.
Yeah, all aboard on that one. Yeah, I'd love social audio on LinkedIn, and I'd be one of the first adopters. I love Clubhouse, and I think it would be really powerful. I think it's fairly likely that something's going to happen in the next year on that. They must have been developing this for some time now. Yeah, more audio capability, please, definitely.
And Russ John's asking a question. Any thoughts on the instant video messages or instant video meetings? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've only used them a couple of times because actually they're not as fully featured as Zoom. If you want to go into one of these things, all right, it's easy enough to set up, and then you think, okay, I want to share my screen now. Oh, I can't. So there was some functionality changes they'd need to make for it to be on parity with something like Zoom, which actually a lot of people are really familiar with now, and setting up a Zoom meeting doesn't take you more than 20 seconds maybe. So I don't think they're quite there, but it's nice to have the feature for the people who maybe don't use Zoom or just want to stay in the app. Yeah.
So Russ Jones is a podcaster. I wonder if he's asking that maybe he's thinking of using that as a podcast tool. So there's nothing, for example, my Rodecaster can record everything on screen. So I could start an audio meeting on LinkedIn and I could basically use it as a podcast, right? Nothing stopping me from doing that.
With their permission, but yeah.
Yeah. Of course, the people that are on the meeting. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I want to be mindful of your time, so I think we should try to close things out here a little bit. So, Andy, were there any more predictions you want to kind of throw out there?
No, that's it. I may do an article. I may incorporate some predictions into my newsletter, the next newsletter, the 4th edition. But thanks so much, Bobby, as ever, for hosting. Always fun to hang. And also my thanks to John and to Cher and to Brenda. Brenda, I didn't forget your name.
I was like, does Andy not like me anymore? Because there was something the other day. I was like, oh, he's just being funny.
Getting old. Getting
you're
old.
Good.
But Andy, is there anything you'd like to promote today with everybody? Check out or something?
I mean, I tend to work with the sophisticated LinkedIn user. I think that's my bracket, my category. So in other words, people that are kind of doing LinkedIn well, but they want to go deeper and they need insights to, I think, move the needle. I think that's probably my sweet spot, but I'm not going to obviously turn anyone away if they're interested in working with me. And I do LinkedIn branding and LinkedIn content strategy. That's it.
Awesome. Brenda, how about you?
What was the question?
Oh, this is for you to promote something you're working on.
Oh, okay.
What do you want? Just one promotion for us.
One promotion. So I just launched, I'm actually in the process right now of launching a LinkedIn masterclass on company pages. And I'm being very secretive because you can't find it on my website. But if you message me on LinkedIn, I'll give you the link. And what I'm doing is a beta test. So every week the price goes up until I completely finish the content. and am having an absolute blast with all the people who are participating right now. And thank you guys so much. This was so much fun today. I hope I get invited to come back sometime and show my fangirl love for all of you guys again. Buy their books, buy their books.
By the way, you can see Brenda also on Clubhouse or here on Clubhouse, where she's talking about company pages at 4:30 Eastern time today with Michelle Raymond. So check that out as well. And how about you, John?
Well, I've just changed my background to point towards my LinkedIn group, and my QR code also points there. So my group started at the start of September. We've got almost 600 members, completely free at the moment, but it's going really, really well. There's loads of chat in there. It's a safe space to discuss personal branding, content creation, LinkedIn tips. So that's the Espresso by Experiencer. Come along and join and let's chat.
That's awesome. And I'll share that I'm running my every bi-monthly, is bi-monthly a word or maybe every monthly? I don't know, because sometimes it means twice a month, but every 2 months I run my 5-day thought leadership branding challenge, where I take people through 5 days of 45 minutes of content Q&A. And I talk about mindset confidence. I talk about content and community building, creation. I talk about storytelling. And then I talk about building meaningful relationships. And I talk about personal branding for clarity and focus. So that's happening December 6th to the 10th. It's really, really great deal. It's only $55 versus my other stuff, which is way more expensive. So if you want to be part of that group and community, I encourage you to check that out. And we're going to be doing Power Connection Chat. And again, you can watch the replay. You can ask more questions. You can tag us. You can share this. This is going to be, it's going to be on my profile for a long time. And hopefully these guys can also share if they want with their groups. But we're going to be doing Power Connection Chat twice monthly on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month. So next one is December 14th. We're trying to book Leah Turner to be part of that one. And then we'll do another one December 28th over the holidays while I'm out west. So thanks everybody for being here. Really appreciate it. And yeah, check these people out. They're amazing people. Really love working with you guys. All right. So long. Take care. Have a good week.
Ciao.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.